Alright everyone, how's it going? It's your Guilty Gear OG Sunday guy, and today I would like to share with you some Testament tips and tricks. In case you haven't been keeping up with my stream, twitch.tv/sundayguyn, you may not already know that I've been on a Testament grind, which eventually I've attained the status of Nice, number 69th Testament in the world. This training arc also helped me win a local online tournament in which I had to successfully defend Canada from international invaders. Along the way, I picked up several techniques that helped me improve my game. Whether you're just a beginner learning the character or an experienced veteran, I'm certain that there's something here for you. Perhaps you would also like to be nice. Well then, without further ado, let's safe jump right into it. Tip number 1. Use safe jumps. We're starting off a little bit simple here, but I promise it will get more complex as we go on. In case you didn't already know, a safe jump is a technique that's used to maintain pressure after a knockdown, while also being able to block a reversal as the opponent gets up. This is achieved by precisely timing a jump attack on the way down as the opponent gets up. Maintaining offensive momentum is important as Testament needs more than a few knockdown sequences to win a round, unlike some of the characters in the game that are currently considered super strong or top tier. Tip number 2. Use the JH-JD mix-up. This mix-up utilizes the air stalling property of JD to create a high-low situation after a JH. After a JH, you either cancel into a JD for a high, or you land and do a 2K for a low. But the question is, yo chat, is this real? There we go. What the hell is this? In a previous video, we counted the frames at the first point of visual difference. We saw that the high hits on frame 12, and the low hits on frame 14. I would say it's real enough for a mix-up, seeing how standing overhead dust attacks still don't get blocked. With that said, you could fuzzy block this as a high would always hit at least 2 frames before the low. But despite this flaw, there are plenty of top level Testament players who still do this mix-up with good results. Tip number 3. Don't just use the JHJD mix-up, spam it. Do it as often as you can. As I just mentioned before, we still see a lot of strong Testament players use this mix-up all the time. I'd say if the opportunity for a mix-up presents itself, why not take it? Just make sure we condition them to not DP on wake up. And how do we do this? Let them know that you can safe jump. Anyways, here's a bunch of out-of-time situations where a standard JH-JD mix-up is possible. Tip number 4. Whiffing a 5P and hard knockdowns. Sometimes we may find ourselves in a hard knockdown situation where we don't have a specific auto time setup. This is when whiffing a 5P can be useful. If we press 5P as soon as the opponent touches the ground, an instant air dash JH becomes a safe jump. In these safe jump situations, we can transition into a JH-JD setup by simply letting the air dash play out to its full duration and then pressing JH. Now, if we were only interested in the instant air dash JH-JD setup, whiff the 5P just after the opponent touches the ground. Tip number 5. Option selecting your low routes in the JH-JD mix-up. Now that I got you convinced that you must do this mix-up, there's something I should let you know. This mix-up has a major flaw. Let me explain. If the Testament goes for the low route, there is a 1 frame gap between the JH and the landing 2K. If the Testament goes for the high route, there is no gap whatsoever. With this knowledge, if the defender simply mashes on backdash after the JH, they would either continue to block the high or backdash the low due to the 1 frame gap. Not only does this avoid the mix-up, the defending backdash can awkwardly disrupt an unsuspecting Testament. Perhaps this setup wasn't as real as I thought it was. Well, everybody, I guess that's it. Time to pack it up. Or is it? What if I told you we could catch the backdash without compromising the low route? Here's what you do. If you chain 2k into heavy Grave Reaper, then quickly press forward or back dust, you can actually catch the backdash recovery while continuing the low route. If the defender did not backdash, the routing continues as normal. If the defender backdashed, the exact same input automatically grabs the opponent's backdash recovery. This occurs because 2k did not have a chance to chain into Grave Reaper, allowing for the throw to come on after 2k recovers. This single input exploits the system mechanics and thus allows us to cover multiple scenarios. In the fighting game sphere, we call these option selects. Now, this particular option select, as neat as it is, still faces some issues. First of all, it does not work on Mei or Milia, as their backdashes are simply too fast. Secondly, FDing the JH pushes Testament out of range of a throw. You could use 2P instead of a grab as your option select, but this further limits the number of characters you could catch. Lastly, you would need the corner. Anywhere else, a simple backdash creates too much distance. With all that said, do I still feel like you should use the JHJD mix-up? Personally, yeah, I still feel like you should. From my experience, it's actually quite rare to face an opponent who knows the countermeasures. If they don't know how to deal with it, keep doing it. If they know the countermeasures, be prepared to counter the countermeasures. Do I think it's actually good to rely on a naturally flawed setup as your win condition? No, not necessarily. You cannot overlook the fact that it's an essential part of Testament's winning game plan. It's there, it's flawed, but it works. This is perhaps what contributes to why lots of players feel Testament is not a strong character. Now, if 2k was just one frame faster, would that be asking too much? Alright, so I accidentally made a video on Testament's JHJD setup. Or maybe that was the plan the entire time. I promise I was intending to make a quick Testament tips and tricks video. I mean, take a look at this. There's even footage of what should have been in this video. Maybe let me know in the comments below if you want that Testament tips and tricks video, part 2, or if you want me to make more videos like this. Please look forward to more videos in the future, especially since my plus R character Dizzy is coming up around the corner. If you made it to the end, a like and subscribe is much appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.